For the very exciting start to our exploration of Nigeria, I spent the afternoon with Addie Mak, a talented multidisciplinary artist whose work has been seen in Lagos galleries as well as on Lagos streets. His art is deeply rooted in the city he comes from. It was a privilege to quite literally cross paths with him and watch him work as he added some pieces to a Lagos bus stop in real time and navigated some reactions. It was also a privilege to speak with him in both worlds that he reaches with his art. We spoke about many things, including how Lagos inspires him, the tension between the two worlds he works across, the importance of the accessibility of his art, and so much more. So listen in.
Hello, I'm Addie Mak, a visual artist. I mainly work with pastel and acrylic, which I do on the street. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria, yeah.
And what do you think about when you think about Lagos?
Wow. Vibrant, busy, fast-paced. Yeah.
It's really interesting because your work is so colorful and it's vibrant in a way that kind of feels a lot like Lagos. But at the same time, your work is obviously very inspired by your environment. I love seeing pieces like Anti-Gimme Cake or Majority Carries the Vote. Can you tell me more about how your environment inspires your work?
Oh, 100%. Like my environment has always inspired me. I often tell people that the first place I feel I ever came across art was in the streets. It was on a building site, and they wrote "No food for lazy man." And I just thought that was so interesting. I thought that there was just so much to unpack from this. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old, but I felt like the reason why this was on a building site was because it's like, okay, yeah, fine, you can come here if you want to work, but otherwise, no food for lazy man. You know. So and that's what I took from that. But I don't know if that's what the person who wrote that meant, and that's what I think art is. It's very subjective, and that just, it really resonated with me from a really young age, and everywhere I went since then I would always look out for art on the streets. Like, so even if I go to a new city, whilst going to galleries and have a list of galleries I want to visit, gallery shows I want to, but I will always check out what's going on the street as well. Yeah, I love that.
And do you feel like in Lagos there are other people who are kind of in the conversation with the streets and putting their art up in the street?
There are people doing it in so many different ways, but I find that what I've even come to find the more I do it is that when you're in your car you don't really notice these things. I tend to, but a lot of people who drive around don't necessarily notice, oh yeah, there's this on the street or there's that on the street, but I always notice these things. I think that there's one that's actually I find quite fascinating. I think he might have done something, maybe he annoyed his girlfriend or something. Him and his girlfriend maybe had an issue, and he just went around town. He made a stencil and he went around town spraying, I've forgotten her name now, but he sprayed her name and said, "I'm sorry." And it was just in so many different places, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Yeah.
Really cool.
So yeah, it's other people do it for sure, like a lot of people.
And so it's funny when you were saying something about the sign you saw when you were younger about food, and then when you put "Poor man no dey crave caviar" around as well.
Yes.
So it's almost like there's a conversation between those two.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you decide what you want to put on the different places, and how do you pick the places?
I find, okay, so I don't want to, as much as I want to put the message out there and put things out there, I don't want to do it on somebody's private property or a wall or something. So I mostly go for like bus stops or construction walls. You know, there's some walls that are mainly put up around construction sites, which are, maybe they're not there for too long or they're there for the duration of the construction. I use things like that, and I find that those are nice big surfaces, and they sort of bring out the work.
Yeah, it's really cool because it makes it more interesting and more vibrant. It sort of brings more life to public spaces. Has it always been important to you for you to have your work be as accessible to as many people as possible?
Absolutely. That really does mean a lot to me, and it's so interesting to me that okay, sometimes I'll be out at night and I'm doing some, and I'm doing some stuff, and some guy will just walk up to me and he'll be like, Gaga! And I'm like, whoa! Like, and then he will literally tell me all the places he's seen the work, like under this bridge and under that, like, and I'm like, yo! So the people who actually notice it are the people who are walking in the streets, and I find that so interesting. Like, you know, and then there was this other guy, he saw the work, and he started showing me pictures on his phone that he'd taken from other sites that I'd done, and I said, this is amazing. I was, it meant so much to me, honestly, just to see that, yeah, it was being noticed by...
Is Gaga the name you tag your street art with?
No, so Gaga Ghost is actually just one of my characters. Yeah, so he's, yeah, that's Gaga Ghost right there, and on the back of my t-shirt. And then these are the Periwinkle people. And then that's the Africa tag, where I took the Metallica logo and sort of switched it to, yeah, and so I just just little things like that.
You get to see how people react to it.
Absolutely.
Apart from those people who came up to you, in the process of doing it or going past, have you ever seen any live reactions?
I haven't seen live reactions. However, people have sent me stories, other people's Insta stories or things like that. People who maybe, you know, people who are from out of town who just notice and they're like, oh, who is this or something, and then maybe they tell them about me or something. So that's always quite interesting as well, that people just notice it and just take photos and put them up. It's all part of a, aside from wanting to, you know, wanting people to see it, wanting everyone to see it, I also, there's a sort of propaganda to it. You know, it's like, okay, this is my work. It's easily recognizable, or it's recognizable to an extent. And whilst you might not know who did it, maybe okay, you see it in a gallery, you see it on the back of someone's T-shirt, you see it on a bus stop, and you're like, what's going on here? You know, so it's just that. Just that brewing that curiosity, if you will, yeah.
And also, I was going to ask you. I noticed that with the Periwinkle people that you had at Na House, or with the Color Me series, you're kind of like, you're open to people coloring on your art.
Oh yeah.
And then in a way, that's what you're doing with Lagos as well. And is there a parallel there between these things?
I think the parallel would be that I thoroughly enjoy interactive arts. I love interactive art. I love interactive exhibitions. I love to visit them. I love to create them, and I like the idea of someone coming to a show and not just staring at the work, but actually participating. So I love participatory exhibitions and interactions and work like that. Yeah, so I think.
And final question for out here.
Okay.
Because actually, I just kept asking you.
No, please, it's totally fine. It's okay, honestly.
What kind of conversations do you think that your art is starting? Like the art that you put out on the street, like the stuff. What conversations do you think it's starting, and when people read, also like the messages that you put out, like
I think. Well, with the initial these things like this, I think it's just about, you know, just to draw people in maybe, and just get them to notice it and think, oh yeah, well that's nice or that's not nice or whatever it is, just to feel something first of all. And then with the words, it's I wouldn't say a philosophy, if you will, and then just finding what other people's opinions are on that, if that makes any sense. Like, so if you're driving down the street and you see, oh, poor man, they crave caviar, I find that most people just burst out laughing. You know, they never actually think what inspired that, or what made this person say that, or that sort of thing. But the basis of that actually is just that you'll never crave what you've never had. But you know, but most times people will just see that and just laugh. And yeah, but it's I want it to be, and which is not bad. I want people to laugh. I think it's something that we do a lot in this country. We laugh at our pain. And you know, we love to keep from crying. Like a recent one I've been doing lately is, oh, we are not okay, diesel is 2K. You know, so it's just social commentary, really. Yeah.
After this, we went over to Windsor Gallery, where Addie Mak's work had featured in the Future Have Eyes exhibition earlier in the year. They were working on a new exhibition, but they graciously let us in. What do the faces and the different colors that you use in your work, like what do they mean to you?
Wow. So the colors are very special to me. I've always said that colors speak to me. So like especially when I'm working with pastels, working in the studio, and I look at all the colors there, they will say to me, yeah. It's almost like I'm their coach and they're my players, and they're like, oh yeah, pick me, coach, pick me. You know, so they're sort of like jumping out at me and like saying, oh, yeah, I'll look good here, trust me, or oh, yeah, I will compliment this, and so that's how the colors. It's always been very intuitive when it comes to colors and picking them and why I choose them or the ones I choose to work with, and the faces. They've sort of evolved over time. Like, if you look at my earlier work, the noses aren't quite the way they are now, and it's almost like now they're more pronounced because there's more confidence with which I do it. Because I would say that I can't necessarily draw or I can't actually draw, but I have a yearning to do it. So what I do is what I can, over time, I've gotten more confident in that, and just sitting with that and doing what I can, if that makes any sense. So yeah, so that's what the faces are. That's it. It's like, yeah, I want to draw a face. This is how I draw faces.
Yeah. That's really cool. And I saw on your page, like a few years ago, you had made a reference to Basquiat. I think there was like something that you had written or like a piece that you had drawn, and then you wrote like Jean-Michel. It was a while ago now.
Oh yeah, so the piece was called Jean-Michel. Yes,
okay,
yes. So
I was wondering because I feel like there's something I could see like Basquiat also. It's more about the message and the importance of the message. But yeah, I was wondering if there's any.
So when it comes to the contemporary portraits, a lot of them are me, or they have a piece of me, or they're supposed to be like other iterations of me. So that particular one was me as Jean-Michel essentially, and so I do so many other ones like. And even if they don't necessarily look like me, they're supposed to essentially sort of capture my essence somehow. Yeah.
And do you feel like there's a bit of you in all of the different faces?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And with your exhibition, the group exhibition that was on here, The Future Have Eyes, what did that mean to you to see your work exhibited?
It's always very interesting to see my work in a gallery, because I don't think it's ever something I ever imagined, to be honest. Like, I mean, I've always had the capacity to go out into the street and put my work there, but when you're within the walls of a gallery, there's almost like I don't want to say validation, but like there's a sort of encouragement. It's almost like you feel seen by the institution somehow, and that's always very encouraging.
No, I understand that because like I write, so when I write a lot, but then when my writing is published in a magazine, it's different from the feeling of just me putting something on my substack.
Of course, I understand.
So I get that. But at the same time, as we've seen, I mean, your work is also outside, and your work is on t-shirts, and I saw you had vases and skateboards, it's almost coloring books.
Oh yes.
You don't want to be contained, and how do you choose what medium to use for your work? And why is it important to you that it's available in so many different formats?
Do you know, I think I mentioned earlier, I when it comes to expression, it's I don't want to say that it chooses me, but it's sort of it always speaks to me. So I when I started making the t-shirts, that was inspired by the coloring books, and the coloring books were already a thing. And then one day I took one of the images of the from the coloring book and I inverted it. So the background became black and the outlines became white. And I thought, wow, this would look really good on a t-shirt. And that's how the t-shirts were born. So it's almost like it's always a happy coincidence or a happy mistake that I'm always open to just through play and just through exploration, if you will.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I saw that I don't know if you still do this, but you had journals where you would write little notes and ideas, like scribbles and inspiration. What would you say like mostly inspires you or makes you reach for your journal? Like what, yeah.
Oh wow! So that was that's something that I would call that particular journal. In fact, was my my first ever art piece, and it's just something that I carried around with me all the time, and so anything I felt that I couldn't express to people, or I felt I didn't want to say, or I didn't feel comfortable saying, I would just whip it out and just write in there. Or if I had an idea that I just had an idea and I don't know why I had the idea, I just put it down there. I just sketch on it, I do things, and I just keep it. And over time, I've kept it. It's almost it serves as an inspirational guide, or something whereby I can actually just look through and be like, okay, yeah, how about we do this on a bigger scale now? How about we, it's so keeping journals is always interesting to me, because it also keeps, even though I journal quite sporadically, so I don't put dates and times there and stuff, but it's always at least I know the time period, and it was like a window into myself at that time. So it's interesting.
Again, that resonates with me in a way because, well, the difference is if I observe something and I'm like, this would be interesting at some point for a story, then I'll just like write it down, and it might just be like a random observation, but I write it down. So in that sense, like, I see what you mean about coming back to something like from before, and like this whole conversation that you're having, you're also having it with yourself for different periods of time.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And you said earlier, obviously your work is about social commentary. And I noticed that there are also like references to money and wealth. Like you spoke about poor man, they crave caviar. And you spoke about how like, Nigeria is so dynamic in terms of how people can go from like poor to rich really quickly. And I saw even like Naira bills or like old pieces. Where do you feel, where does that specific sort of like theme come from? Do you think that that's kind of like, is that attached to Nigeria and the reality of that being like such a big motivator in our society? Or where does that sort of like theme around money, or that whenever you have that message, where does that come from?
This is a very tough and broad one, because I would say I'm very aware of my surroundings, but I'm not only exposed to one kind of life, if that makes any sense. And through that observation, I've been able to say that, oh, okay, maybe this person only thinks like this, or this person only speaks like this, or this person, and then, oh, okay, but this person lives very differently, or like, and I've always noticed that from a young age. And I didn't know what to do with that, but I've just always been aware of it, and taken note of it, and I guess just through that keen observation, I've come up with some of these philosophies, sayings, works, because they're inspired by my observations. So
that makes sense. And I feel like living in Nigeria, you are always confronted by the different ways that people like exist in our space. It's too much. We have to do something with it. And so, do you feel any tension between those two worlds? Like, for example, between this world of the gallery and then the world that we saw outside, like with your work on the street. Is there any tension between your attempt to reach both those spaces and both those bodies?
I think the tension there possibly could be or might be, but it doesn't come from me because I'm aware that I can exist in both those spaces. I'm a keen historian, and I know that I know that gallerists. I know that like the artists can exist on the street and in the gallery space, but here sometimes maybe people are sort of like, okay, is he okay? What's he doing? And you just have to be okay with that. In a sense, you have to be like, okay, yeah, I'm outside and I'm making markings on the road, and I'm like, I know that people think I'm crazy, but I have to be okay with that and just keep doing what I'm doing because I know what I'm doing, or at least I think I do, and I just have to trust the process. But
yeah, and it really resonates. It's like you have a message and you want to tell your message, and you kind of have to keep telling your message regardless of what else is around you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, we've already spoken about this, but just in case there's anything else that you want to say, like, what would you say is like your message, more broadly, the message that you're trying to tell?
I think I just want people to express whatever it is that's in them. Like if you see what I do as any sort of person, and you feel that you want to go and do that as well, I think that's pretty much it for me. Like or if you see the work and you think, because I always find it quite interesting that people actually like my work. I mean, I like my work, but when other people like it, it's sort of like, oh my God, really? So that's there's a sort of bridge there somehow, and I think that's why I do it.
I love it. No, that's definitely clear. Like when you said you want people to express what's in them, and it makes sense. Like seeing the coloring books, and seeing the interactivity with the periwinkle at Na House. So you're definitely on your message. And this is a random question, but does music inspire you? Because I noticed like when seeing like your pieces on Instagram, sometimes there are references to beats, or like you chose very carefully the music that you paired with the pieces. Is music part of your artistic
process? Definitely. I thoroughly enjoy music, and all kinds of music as well. All kinds of music, yeah. So I like music definitely inspires. When I work, I listen to music. Especially if I'm working and I'm doing like a time lapse of myself, and my playlist is going, and a particular song comes on, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna use that song with this video, or I like music a lot. Music definitely inspires.
In terms of like Nigerian music, for example, are there any specific sort of like artists that you find yourself returning to when you work?
My favorite Nigerian musician is Santi. I love Santi. Like for me, it's like Kanye, Santi. Yeah, high praise, I know, but no, but he's really good. Santi's amazing.
And I love what you just did when you compared Kanye to Santi. It's how you were comparing things like Hopkins and Macri, or saying that people shouldn't compare, and saying that like what is ours is ours. It's really special. So, I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
And any other, like more generally, are there any other like Nigerian creatives across art, music, literature, that specifically sort of like inspire you or interest you, or that you feel like people should check out?
Oh wow, there are so many. Wow. God, I don't even if it's wow. I can't. Honestly, I genuinely can't. But I think overall, I'm super into youth culture and everything that the youth are doing, and I mean sometimes it's a bit much for me. It's sort of like, eesh, but there's this quote by Karl Lagerfeld that goes, "If you're tired of the times you're in, then your time is up." And I just pray that my time is never up. So I'm just sort of, like, okay, yeah, guys, this is what you're going to do. Okay, that's cool. You do. I'm not going to tell them to stop. I'm not going to, but it's, yeah, I find youth culture very interesting. Yeah.
I like that answer.
Like in everything that the youth are doing.
And again, a broad question, because I think now I've gone through the specifics, but this might be one of the last ones.
Okay.
But what do you think the art scene in Lagos is like, or the ecosystem, like, what kind of like strikes you about that Lagos art scene?
Yeah, I think like with every to assume or to think that it exists on a continuum or something on a very linear scale is there's there are different factions. I think it's very broad, it's very complex, it's very complicated. You have your street artists, you have your Lekki market artists, you have your I don't know, the Windsor Gallery artists. You have there are just so many different. You have your masters. They're very, very broad, very, very broad. Honestly, there's a lot going on, and I'm mainly just focused on my focus, But there's way too much going on. You have the fine arts. You have there's just a lot. And that is why I'm like I said, when I say I'm focused on my focus, is that if there are people who are interested in my art, and I'm not surprised, if that makes any sense. Like, see, I see when you travel and you post things, you post a lot of street art. So when you reached out to me, I was sort of like, oh, okay, I can see this. This is, this, I can see why this makes sense, exactly. Whereas there are people who like, they like their fine art, they like they want their, and I appreciate all that kind of stuff. I appreciate the technical skill that takes and all of that, but it don't, or even your classic portraiture artists, everybody likes what they like, and there's so many collectors and so many, so that's why I like when people just do what they want to do and what's genuinely inside them, because then I know that they're not it's not a performance. It's I think.
Yeah, it's like authentic. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Seriously,
thank you,
Your work
honestly.
is really inspiring, and I love how you do it across, and how you're really going for it as well, and like just kind of like you're working, really hard, and you're like really getting your message out there in as many ways as possible, and trying to reach as many people as possible. It's really inspiring to see, and it's very resonant with what like Inktippedjourneys is about as well, because I can really see like this link between you and Lagos, and it's very clear. And thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
being in person.
Oh, no, not at all. No, thank you so much for having me, honestly.
It was such a pleasure to speak to Addie Mak, to experience the sheer range of his creativity, and to feel the energy of Lagos around us in both spaces that we visited.